Alright, so let's talk about indirect variation. Indirect variation can also be called inverse variation. By inverse, this type of variation now exists when an increase in one variable is causing a decrease in the other variable. Like we were talking about demand versus price of commodities. Usually, non-basic commodities, non-essential commodities, they relate indirectly. That is, if you increase price, demand will fall. Suppose, let's say, sweets, a packet of sweets are non-basic commodities. If a packet of sweets is selling at $2, then maybe the demand per month we make about 20,000 sales. 20,000 sales. A packet of sweets is selling at $2, and in a month we are making 20,000 sales. If you reduce the price of sweets to probably 50 cents, the same packet of sweets, demand will respond through an increase instead. That is, maybe we'll be selling about, we'll be making 50,000 sales of such packets. That's inverse variation. When one variable decreases, the other will increase. If you are to increase the price, probably to $5 packet, the demand will fall from 20,000 to probably 10,000 sales. That's inverse variation. But calculation still remains FKM, formula, constant variable, and missing variable. Let's go through calculations. Suppose in this question, given that x varies inversely as y, given that x varies inversely as y, number A, write down an equation connecting x, y, and k. Then number B, x equals to 3 when y equals to 2, find k. Then C, find y when x is equal to 4. Alright. The only difference between direct variation and indirect variation is that in inverse variation, they specify the word inversely or indirectly. Let's go through the first part of the question, that is number A, formula. When you talk of formula, you go through the given description. Given that x varies inversely. Inverse means interchanging the numerator and the denominator. For instance, we have 2 over 3. The inverse of 2 over 3 is 3 over 2. So if you have 5, the inverse of 5 is 1 over 5. If you have y, the inverse of y is 1 over y. So the formula is, given that x varies inversely as y, meaning to say y is going to be the inverse. Instead of y, it becomes 1 over 1. This is the difference. In direct variation, we were saying x varies as y. But if they say inversely, this one will be inverted, so it becomes 1 over y. That's inverse variation. Still, we need to introduce constant k. That is, x is equals to, when introducing constant k, it must multiply by the numerator. That is 1 times k over y. This is the difference between direct variation and indirect variation. The formula for direct variation was x equals to k y. But this one, y becomes the denominator, that's being inverse. Alright, then in part B we do likewise. We are going to do substitution. We go back to the formula x equals to k over y. Now in place of x we are writing down 3. 3 is equals to k over, in place of y we have 2. Then we introduce denominator 1. Let's solve the equation. If you do not know how to solve the equation, check with other tutorials where we taught on how to solve Orlando linear equations. I'm multiplying both sides by common denominator 2. Cancelled. 2 times 3 is 6 is the value of k. That way. And also, of course, the last part we are still doing the same. Want to find the value of y. We go to the formula x equals to k over y. In place of x, x is 4. 4 is equals to, in place of k, we are writing down 6. Then over y, and then we solve the equation. Multiply both sides by common denominator y by y. This side they cancel. Now we have 4y is equals to 6. To get the value of y, divide both sides by 4, and y becomes 4 into 6, 1, remainder 2 over 4. 2 over 4 will be reduced, we get half. This is inverse variation. So inverse variation goes with the word inversely, which shows that the other term to be introduced should be the inverse or inverted to become 1 over. Quickly, let's talk about joint variation. This is number 3. In direct variation, increase in one variable was causing an increase in the other. Inverse variation, increase in one variable caused a decrease in the other variable. How about joint? Joint simply suggests that we are now combining both two variations, direct and indirect. And in this one, joint variation exists when we have more than two variables. We're dealing with x and y. Now we talk of x, y, and another variable, like what we'll be doing here. For instance, number 1, given that x varies as y and w. Number A, number B, x equals to 10 when y equals to 2 and w equals to suppose 1. Find k. Then number C, find x when y is equals to 4 and x equals to 2. That's the first type of joint variation. Joint connects or link more than two variables. So let's go through the first part of the question. Given that x varies. In this case, it's almost direct variation because we are saying x varies as y. After y, we have this term and. And it needs multiplication. So it's x varies as y times w. Then still we need to introduce constant k. It becomes x equals to, still k multiplied by these terms, that is y w k. That's the formula. X varies as y w k. From there, number B, we want to calculate the missing variable. We want to calculate the value of the constant. So we go back to this formula. X is equals to y w k. In place of x, x is 10. In place of y, y is 2. This is multiplication, y times w times k. So y bracket can also mean a multiplication. Y is 2, w is 1, then we have k. That is 10 is equals to 2 times 1, 2k. We divide by 2 by 2. And the value of k is 5. Alright, lastly, we want to calculate the missing variable. The question is saying find x. So we take this formula. X is equals to y wk. So in place of x, x will remain unknown. In place of y, y is 4. W is I'll find x, or this should be w. Find x when y is 4 and w is 2. Then how about k? We take this k value that was 5. This is multiplication throughout. It's now x equals to 4 times, or you can say 2 times 5, 10, 10 times 4, we get to 40. Variation is very simple. What you need is to repeat, practice more and more. Right, I want to illustrate one more different type of, or different setup of joint variation, whereby we are combining both direct variation and indirect variation, like in this question. I'm still going to use these variables. Given that x varies, instead of just varies, they will say inversely. Given that x varies as y and inversely, given that x varies as y and inversely as w. Right. Given that x varies as y and inversely as w, write it down in the equation. Collecting x, y, w, and constant k. Right. This type of variation is joint. Let's go through it. Given that x varies as y, up to the point they mentioned y is a completely direct variation. X varies as y, x varies as y. But now they said and inversely, mean to say the other term we are introducing now should be inverted. And means multiplication, inversely w. Instead of writing down w like what we did in the previous example, now w is going to be the inverse like this. So it becomes x varies as y times 1, y over w. Then we need to introduce constant k, so it becomes an equation. Multiply this numerator by k, it becomes x equals to y k over w. Then the rest you'll be doing the same. You substitute the values, the given values to find value of k. After that, you find the missing variable. This is variation, guys. It's so simple. You also follow those questions that I shall post in the comment section for the sake of practice.